Okay, this is Better Call Saul, episode 8, Rico, and I'm Peter Gould, co-creator and executive producer.
I'm Diane Mercer, producer.
I'm Gordon Smith. I wrote this episode.
And I'm Colin Buxey, and I directed this episode.
And here we are, back with Jimmy McGill.
Hey, Gene.
A slightly younger Jimmy. This is our bleach bypass look for flashbacks here.
How much younger is he supposed to be here?
We were thinking this is about 1998, so probably 4 or 5 years before the main action of Better Call Saul. Probably a decade before Breaking Bad.
He's so bouncy. He has such a spring in his step here.
Yeah, this is before life beat him down.
And and I don't know if the audience, this may be the first time the audience realizes that he actually worked here at Hamill and Hamill McGill,
Yeah.
which he called the Death Star.
Which was a piece of, backstory that we had talked about forever in the room. We'd kind of, oh yeah, he worked in the mailroom. He had this, and so we had it worked out. But we were really happy to figure out a way to see it in a way that tied into the rest of the episode.
It's funny because you talk about these things so much that you forget sometimes that they're not on the show. And then, of course, here's Ray Seahorn, and in this big moment, we find out they're both kind of at the bottom of the ladder in their own
This
way.
is her in her former office, such as it is.
Yeah.
Is this the cornfields? This is where
this
she
is-
got
this is the
sent when she got
cornfields.
sent back.
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
this is partially based on my wife's office when she used to work at a company called RKO, although she did have a
I
window.
must call to your attention the newly passed Environmental Impact and Sustainability
feel bad for Nora.
statute that, as you know, went into effect without any ex post
And
facto.
here we are in Chuck's office, which actually is the same. I hate to give away a secret. It's the same set as Hamlin's office, and it's just Tony Fanning and his crew just did this wonderful job of building a set that could be both offices and have such different personalities.
You passed the bar.
Did you guys flip them?
There
Did
were
you-
walls.
So, so you just flipped it, so it's reversed,
different
right?
view out
Yeah,
the window
Yeah.
in the other office.
Yeah. A little bit different, yeah.
Community college. I mean, they're not just
Colin, I have to ask you because this scene, like all your scenes, is so beautifully staged. How much of that is planned before you get on the set with the actors?
I think this sort of scene is really, you've stood there in the set and you've figured out where the actors are going to be. I mean, it's pretty simple because one of them's sitting behind a desk, so that's half of it taken care of. And then it's a question of, where it comes in, he stands, when does he sit, that kind of thing that's loose. That's between you and the actor.
I have a great shot of you from Chuck's set in the darkness while they were setting up in the dining room, working out the setups for another room where you were just like, okay, I'm here. In the shadows.
And I just love Michael McKean's reaction here
Yeah.
because he is truly taken aback.
a lot.
He's truly taken. There's so much going on underneath with Michael. What's going on the surface, what's going on underneath the surface is, I think, fascinating to watch here.
And this was, at this point in the season, correct me if I'm wrong, Gordon, we understood where Chuck's head was at.
We did.
Understood the relationship. And it wasn't something we really understood even a few episodes earlier. So
No, we were kind of in the trenches for 8, 9, and some of 10 for a while, kind of breaking them all at once, because we knew that 8 was going to kick off the kind of run that would take us to the end of the season. So a lot went into breaking it.
this was the episode that was most rebroken, I think, and reconceived as with. And here is this fantastic single take that gives us this whole scene.
Just a little celebration on behalf of New Mexico's newest.
So Diane, what is this? Isn't a special effects shot in any way, is it?
Of course it is.
In what way? In what way? I don't see any special effects. There are no creatures. What's going on here?
Yeah, well, basically here, we had always planned to not hear Hamlin. It was always discussed, you guys talked about it in the writer's room, to not hear this speech. And Colin came up with this great great visual way to
it's
tell
so
that
beautiful.
story. But unfortunately, on the day, the reflection of the camera was visible in the glass, and they couldn't get the shot. So they pulled the glass out, and this reflection that you see right here, as we creep up close on the copier, that is digitally added. So all of that, this whole shot, it's apparently the longest shot we've ever done in the history of Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. And it required a lot of
And this
Colin
is-
is cheering.
And this is Bill Pulowski
Bill
and his,
Pulaski of Velocity
his group.
Visuals and his crew, and this is basically a CG version of the copier, and we required very precise measurements, and they built a full-on 3D version of the room that's behind us that we never see, and had to track it with the camera move.
Yeah.
And
Just
this is just
lingering with
wonderful, yeah. And
Yes.
and this is
Yeah.
another moment where the sound really
Yeah.
sells it, with the copier kind of creeping into our consciousness and then creeping back out. And
It's a great example of what I call a sandwich scene. If someone they go off to make a sandwich, they'll have no idea what happened.
exactly.
And this is another one of our individualized credit pieces. Here's Kim. She's back. She's
Yeah.
back in her
Yeah.
office.
Yep.
Going back in.
Out of the cornfields.
So apparently they are ready for it.
Gordon, what did you think of the relationship? What's the relationship now between Kim and Hamlin?
We slightly more strained. She now knows that Hamlin is kind of willing to ditch her on a moment's notice. He's not really going to fight for his people, so that informs her verve for this job.
I'm pleased to announce that
You could argue that that's the most dickish move he's made all season.
I
is
think
putting her
there's
in
a
the
good
cornfield.
argument to be made.
And I
for
love
that.
Colin. I love how you frame this so you can just see a little bit
Little
of
bit.
Kim.
Yeah, exactly.
Of the rather disillusioned face. of Kim.
She's basking in the glow. You
Yeah.
know, a little sliver of her face is basking
Yeah.
in the glow. And here we are at Sandpiper.
Are you a relative?
Lawyer. But I treat my
How many names for the home did you go through before you landed on Sandpiper?
Oh my gosh,
There were
so
so many that didn't
I don't
clear.
remember. Yeah, there were a ton
Right.
that didn't clear. There was a
And playing back here is Bell Book and Candle. You see Ernie Kovacs, James Stewart, and then Jack Lemmon. This is the most star-studded scene in the show. And then there's Bob, who's right up there with those guys, in my opinion.
prize from the card fairy.
we had a hard time keeping that gentleman asleep.
Actually, there's a little digital help there. keeping
Is there?
him asleep, yes.
And if you watch closely, you will see him again in a couple of episodes.
Will be done.
Is he asleep?
I'm all hydroxed out.
And this actress is wonderful.
Oh, I
This
love
is
her.
Jean Efron. She was fantastic. She was the Catwoman in 5, right?
Yeah, seven.
Seven.
Episode seven.
Yeah.
Is she local?
I think she is local.
We should have done this years ago.
Well, people do tend to put it off.
She's wonderful, and I also think it's a nice public service that we're advocating that people should have wills. I've had a few people tell me that they watched this and then they went out and got a will. So
If I could hire Jimmy McGill to do my will, I would have one.
he goes door to door, which is a wonderful thing.
I know.
If you were a loved one, need a will.
As I remember, Gordon, this was the scene that kind of gave us the idea for the whole episode, because I think this is probably the fifth version of this episode that we broke.
At least the 5th version.
And
of this
then
episode,
we
yeah.
decided to go back to brass tacks, and I think the idea occurred to us: what if, in the course of his ordinary will making, what if he found something bigger?
Yeah.
What if he got a tiger by the tail? And that was the origin of this whole notion.
Yeah, then we did some digging, some research, just to see what the shape of that could look like. And
Well, Gordon, what kind of research? You spearheaded the research. What kind of research were you doing?
mostly talking to family members. My mom's a tax attorney. My sister is an attorney. My sister consulted pretty extensively on this and on 9 because I was sending her pages and stuff to see if the procedural stuff was working. But yeah, this was definitely the genesis, and kind of the genesis of it too was thinking, all right, we want to really prove that Jimmy is good at this. He didn't fail his way into becoming Saul Goodman. He actually is a very capable attorney. He just has a means justify the ends attitude.
Colin, I also love how you shot Jimmy's realization as he walks out there.
Yeah.
And as I recall, that little beat of him walking out and thinking, that was on the chopping block as we tried to simplify the episode. And I was so happy that you found a way to get that
It
moment.
was always in my head that you had to have that shot somehow, and this building actually lent itself to it perfectly.
It's is this actually a retirement home?
I think it is an assisted living of some kind,
Right.
but I don't think I think it's actually, there's all these gradations. I think it's actually a retirement home, but not an assisted living
Yes.
and not a nursing home care, which are sort of the steps between.
This is how they do it for everybody around here.
And one of the things I love about this character, Jimmy, and the way Bob plays him is his warmth and genuineness
Yeah.
with these folks.
Your friends around who I could.
Oh, yeah, that was something we very much wanted to avoid, the idea that like Jimmy McGill was in some way going to be scamming old people out of their money. 'Cause
Yes.
it's like that would, I don't even think we can imagine Saul Goodman doing something like that. He doesn't really, but so much as we've seen, bilk his clients. He uses his clients against other people sometimes. He gets money out of his clients that, might be from shady means, but he's not.
This is wonderful with the glasses.
I love that.
Yeah.
So tiny. 4, 10, 12.
I think Bob came up with that.
That was a bit of Odenkirk improvisation.
Yeah, when he was looking at it with the glasses with
Yeah.
Trina from Props.
And she's wonderful, this actress.
If we correct the mistake, then you'll get some money back, and it'll be fair. Hey, Chuck.
She's very limber. She would do a lot of stretches and ballet moves while she was like warming up on
Really?
the stage.
That's right. Yeah.
And here we are, contemporary Chuck, who is a little bit skeptical of Jimmy. And Jimmy has played Chuck from the previous episode when he left the unfinished wills and led Chuck to believe that they weren't going to be done properly. And Chuck could not resist that. I think it's fascinating how both of these guys love their work so much. They're both so work-centered. It's interesting. It's not a workplace show, but these people are so focused on what they do.
What did I just say? Take a look, okay?
And I have to give massive shout outs to Bob and Michael here because my God, we had so many props and pieces of paper and things moving in this episode, and they had to stay in the scenes while dealing with this bullshit essentially. And it's like, and as well to the props department and our team back in Burbank for making all of these things, because we had to make sure that everything that was on camera, we assumed you could read it, so they had to have all the proper information. They had to look formatted correctly. This was the prop apocalypse in my mind.
You could probably bring a real lawsuit with the prop material.
I think you
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
could. They'd all be to fake companies, but it would be a real lawsuit.
And this is of course one of the things I love that you do, Colin, is how you step back. That there are these wide, expressive shots.
That feels very much part of the show.
It
It's
does.
up to real money. I mean, here, look. This woman, she got soaked for like $400 last month.
Because Jimmy's kind of on the outside looking in the whole time, you know?
He really
My
is.
way of thinking
And
makes
it's
it
Fraud.
wait, and
This was in work I did.
this is so rewarding for me to watch this and see Jimmy succeed in his brother's eyes, and also Jimmy
twice a day.
is so desperate for a little bit of approval from Chuck.
Some kind of real estate
It's
I'm working on getting more info.
it's heartbreaking when you realize what's going to happen. It's to me so much of
If it's more than the
so much of the pain that comes in the next episode really gets it gets bought and paid for here, and it's the excitement, it's the up It's the connection that these guys have in this episode that makes the next episode so murderous.
I'm gonna head back there. Thank you. You're the best.
There's a little visual effects here too.
Is there
The
one
sign
that-
got rained on.
Yeah.
Sorry?
The sign got rained on
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
warped
yeah.
overnight. So we just straightened it.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And years ago you would have had to just live with it
We're concerned about
or go reshoot it. One of the
Right.
two.
One or the other.
I'm not a gigolo, if that's what
I remember we struggled a little bit with exactly what her little sign would look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where it would be so that we could see it.
Yes.
And we have the right to refuse entry.
This is such a complex sequence. And Colin, you just pull it off. It looks
Well,
so effortless.
I mean, this lobby, this set, I mean, none of this existed. It's all constructed so that it can be shot in such a way that all those beats come over. The person who's hiding in there shredding.
Even the bathroom.
Later on, we'll see. Yes, that's part of it too.
Is the bathroom on a location or is that
Created
on,
on
the
a
stage?
location.
Oh wow.
Well, the interior
Oh,
is
the
on
interior is
stage,
on stage,
yeah,
yes.
but
Oh, yes,
but
yes.
they had to put up a couple walls to motivate
Yeah,
the
going in and
move
out.
Yeah,
There he goes.
Yeah, these two dudes.
Other side.
Those two dudes remind me of the tough guys in Clockwork Orange. And this, of course, is also we have to give props to Kelly Dixon for the beautiful way this sequence is cut. This mini montage, and our sound team. There are layers. If you have a good home setup, and you're watching this on a really good digital output, you'll see there are so many layers to the sound of this scene.
Yeah. I mean, Gordon actually went and worked with Catherine Matson, our dialogue ADR supervisor, pulling out which parts of the dialogue should poke through and which parts should be kind of layered under it and with the music and all that other stuff. It's amazing.
it's tough because we wanted it to. You want it to feel fast, but you also need it to keep moving so you can get to this.
Right,
You know?
right.
But I love that woman's frightened face in,
yeah.
the shredding room.
He's winning.
Right now, tell him
He's winning.
me, James McGill Esquire. I'm telling you.
I love that cut.
I'm so in his camp right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if he actually does those crosswords. He's just sitting there. Nice crosswords.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey,
And of course,
Am I calling it a
he has been waiting for this call, hasn't
Yes,
he, Gordon?
He's still we have not actually seen him check in. In our minds, he hadn't heard from Stacy, his daughter-in-law, since the events of 106. So that question of can you live with it is sort of being answered here. And the answer is yes.
The
She
answer-
can live with it. Come babysit.
Colin, had you ever worked with Carrie Condon before?
I had not. And, but when, of course, I heard that she'd been in a Paolo Sorrentino movie, I was really rather impressed. Ahead of time. That apart. I was very anxious to talk to her about the genius that is Paolo Sorrentino. Anyway, I thought she was absolutely, terrific choice for this role.
yeah, no problem.
At 1:45?
I'll see you then.
Okay.
We have not seen her since Gordon's last episode.
Yes.
Right.
That's
Which was
true.
a whole one episode ago.
That was
true.
a whole other episode.
That's true. It feels like a lifetime, though.
You guys need to know that people don't generally write 2 episodes. Like write one, then pick one off, and then write another one.
Yeah.
This is a very impressive accomplishment.
It was just how the scheduling
How it happened,
worked
I
out.
know.
Because I,
But
wrote
it's
the
really
following
hard to
episode?
do.
I'm sorry?
You wrote the next episode?
No.
No, he
it's
wrote number 6.
two before.
So
Oh,
two,
right, I
two
see what you
ago.
mean.
And
Yeah.
then this-
Gordon
Yeah.
loves Albuquerque.
I do. I do love Albuquerque. I love Flying Star.
This is this is also a music cue, a Dave Porter music cue. I love this. It really feels like we're in a 70s detective movie
Caper
here to
movie.
me. And this
Also, really, I can't remember who's responsible. That light fixture there. That's not
Me.
that's us.
Me.
No,
Me.
But I mean, who on the crew? Like,
so you
who put that up?
So
I know
Colin,
that you were responsible for putting it there, but I don't
you
know.
wanted to put
remember.
a light fixture
Yeah,
there?
yeah, I felt
Yeah.
it needed a source, believable
Yeah,
source.
something has it.
It looks
street
great.
light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
So if you and it's framed really
Yeah.
well too, because if you came a little bit around on it, you'd
You'd
see
see-
sandbags holding the thing up.
And of course, we have the Sandpiper minivan there to kind of tie it all together.
Yeah, I remember. That's right. There were a lot of conversations about that and how we were was there gonna be a sign back
Yeah,
there? But it's the
yeah.
back of the building. And it wouldn't have a sign. And then I think Colin came up with the van.
Yeah.
Somebody, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And is
The
this
dumpster.
now? Is this a real? Is this a real dumpster?
It's
Is
a
this
real
real
dumpster.
garbage?
Well, yes.
Yeah. Combination again
Yes.
of location and stage.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah,
a
he's in a
real
dumpster.
dumpster. Just happened.
Yeah.
We just shot it on stage.
Yeah.
We didn't. There was discussion about whether whether Colin, if you needed to take a side out, but
Yeah.
it
Which I
turned out
think-
we just had the
Camera
cameras
in there.
Wow. And this is, I believe Arthur Albert shot this with two sources of light: the light from the outside and the flashlight. So it's really just what you're seeing.
Yeah. And when we get
Remarkable.
into the next part, it's pretty much just
Just the
that
flashlight. and
flashlight, which is
whatever's-
great,
Yeah.
which worked out so well.
Well, so Bob is really lighting himself here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Does he get a Code DP credit on this episode for that? Or the gaffer? That lettuce. Ow.
Just ugh.
We struggled with this a little bit because we had the idea for having the telephone call in the dumpster, and then we thought, well, why is the opposing counsel calling in the middle of the night? And then we decided because he's working late.
He's working late.
That's the kind of thing that actually takes a day sometimes.
It does. Well, because you have to test out all of the other options and see if there's something better. And
Lovely. Well, I'll try not to keep you. We received something from you today, and we're not quite sure.
this is Dennis Boutsikaris, who's a fantastic actor.
I love how confident he is in his world. He's not being excessively dickish. But there's also something funny about seeing this character try to make a joke, and in a scene with Jimmy's character, and the jokes flow so effortlessly from Jimmy.
I'm not saying it's not, but it's a bit hard to read.
Last time I'd use double ply.
There's the joke.
Yeah.
Buzzing.
Yeah. Stick with the law. Stick with the law, partner boy.
Thank you very much. I'll be here all week.
That's wonderful. I'm not a betting man, but I bet the and one of the things I love about this character, Jimmy McGill, is he always bounces back. Even if he's up to his neck in used adult diapers, he is still gonna fight like crazy.
Yeah.
He's heroic.
And I mean, again, this is a testament to Bob's performance too, because we love the idea of Jimmy taking his phone call in the garbage, and Bob was just like, more garbage, come on, give it to me, and it shows. It's all over.
Yeah, there's never a sense of holding back, or how am I going to look in this scene, or is this going to be uncomfortable?
Interrupting your evening? Enjoy the magic flute.
Blow my magic flute.
Magic flute.
Yeah, I can't remember who pitched that in the room, but it was always the magic flute. Ouch! So once we had that,
This is so painful. Now, is that a stunt artist?
nope.
No.
Again, and I think Bob hurt his hand on that take. Whole noise.
And I love the way this is revealed, because you can't quite tell that it's the blue bin until he shines the light
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
I remember originally the original script had him doing this in the nail salon, and then having a disaster when the door opens.
That's right.
And the
And
stuff
then he
all
moves
blows
to Chuck's.
around. And this was already a bear of an episode. So here we are in Chuck's house, and I think it works great. I love this scene. And this music is Galt McDermott, right?
Yeah.
Coffee
Coffee cold.
Coffee Cold. What was the movie, the 60s movie that was used in?
Thomas Crown Affair.
Thomas Crown Affair, yes.
The Steve McQueen one.
Yes. So, in Thomas Crown Affair, it's a love scene, and here we have the shred, putting shreds together. That's the difference between us and the Thomas Crown Affair.
Great work by Chris McCaleb, and I
Right.
think he was in charge of cutting this sequence
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
with Kelly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jimmy, what are you doing here? Oh, Chuck, sorry to show up like this. I just needed space.
And this really shows off this fantastic set so
Yeah.
well, too.
They were spoliated.
We were in here. Sorry, we were in here a ton this episode, and I think Colin, you did a fantastic job of both. It's people coming into rooms and talking, but we keep moving through it and finding ways to sort
Finding
of see
different
new
ways.
parts. And
Yeah.
I think this is the
Yeah.
most we'd seen of Chuck's house, but to this point.
Yeah. Good luck to the next person.
That's the standard, right? If animals or vagrants can get in.
More or less.
So, Colin, how much rehearsal would you do on a scene like this? How does that work?
I think we did a fair amount of. It's hard to remember afterwards exactly how much you did.
I think it was because again this is all prop work,
Yeah.
and which you want to get it to so that it's in their bodies, and so there was a fair amount of blocking, and then let it run.
Yeah.
You know, once we figured out where they would go.
Stop. It's okay. You can work here.
Thanks.
I don't mind the company.
That's such a big concession from Chuck. I don't mind the company.
Mm-hmm.
That's. I remember when I read that line in your script. I was so surprised by it. It was just so right. There's always there's kind of a coffee subtext on this show. There's a lot of coffee.
A lot of coffee.
Coffee cold, the coffee hot.
Coffee, and there's the vending machine at the courthouse. There's just a lot of coffee on the show, which shows something about us. I think something about me anyway. Love the coffee. This another beautiful shot that tells the story.
And this is another moment that's just going to make the next episode hurt even more.
Yeah, because there is a tenderness between these two characters, and
They
here's-
do take care of each other in some ways.
That's absolutely, and even when Chuck, he's it's not all fake, because you see that Chuck really does care about his brother, and he also can't resist a puzzle, which reminds me a little bit of both Gordon and Tom Schnauz.
More, I think it's more Tom than me.
Well,
but
I think,
definitely.
I think about
definitely.
you. I hope I'm not giving anything away, but we had a magic eye picture in the room, and you spent basically a week. I kind of worried that you were going to give yourself some kind of brain
I can't
condition.
see those fucking things.
Neither can I.
Drives me crazy.
Neither can I. But I give up. And that's the difference.
Oh, good. You're up.
Is this what is the camera on for this shot?
It's on a crane. I'm not sure exactly where. It's a quite a small jib arm type crane.
Thank you.
Because I think that's one of the things that surprised me, interested me about the way you shot this set, is that sometimes you're up high.
I like that, to vary those angles in this. As Gordon said, we're in here a lot, and the going from low to high is always something that I like to do anyway.
Trust me.
it's fascinating to watch, and it's great to see it unravel here. And this, it's interesting because Chuck did the same walk earlier in the episode, and here you are following him, which you didn't do before, and it has such a different feeling.
Yeah.
78. I don't think that's going to play, really, but it's a good opening salvo for us.
Wait, us? We're working together on this?
That's up to
Don't break my heart.
A little uncomfortable with that.
Chuck's heart grew 5 sizes.
He's got a broom up his ass, as a character says later, but that doesn't mean he's totally insincere. Jeez, this looks like a great job that she's in the office here, and whatever this is, 11 at night.
Sweet talking right out of the gate. You want
What would any of us who work in television know about that?
No, we basically sit by the pool for most of our work. That's actually what I really thought before I moved out to California. That's when I was working at editorial in New York. That's what they said. They said, "Oh, in California, they pull the movie all out on next to the pool, and everybody goes home at 5."
I think most of these days were splits, so we were probably shooting these at like 2 or 3 in the morning, half the stuff.
What's a split, Gordon?
It's sort of, you have it's your half day and half night, because we had so much of both.
Yeah.
So instead of starting at 6 in the morning and shooting for 12 hours, you're starting at noon and shooting for 12 hours, or you're starting at 2 or 3 instead of shooting for 12 hours.
I think that's one of the roughest things about production to me, is getting up at a different time every morning and going to bed at a different time. It's very tough to adjust.
I don't think we had any full night shoots where we started at like 5 or 6 on this. I think they were all splits.
I think I've only had one on this show.
You
One or
took care
two.
of all of them on 106.
We did
You
have
them
several
all
on
that
6.
episode.
This, and I love how Kim just has this little hint of anxiety about the two guys working together.
Yeah.
And you think, when I watch it, I think that her anxiety is that Chuck is not capable. Chuck is a little bit fragile still, based on what we saw in episode 5, where he was in a hospital bed for most of the episode.
Maybe a class action even. We think it'll settle for 1, maybe 2 million.
How does that work? Chuck's a partner at HHM.
So what? Look, I know Chuck's partnership agreement chapter and verse. He can work with outside parties.
That clause is intended for small-time stuff. Pro bono cases.
So I'm Bono. I'm very Bono.
And Colin, what are you thinking when you have a phone conversation? Do you have a different approach? How are you thinking about the two sides?
Well, I mean, there is a left to right direction in one of them, and a right to left direction in on the other side, which I don't always stick to, but we did there, and a very different angle on her to him. So that's just varying the two sides.
See, this is all film school for me. And Mike is finally, this is his heart's desire. He wanted to be part of the family. He wanted to be with his granddaughter again, because she's really all he's got left.
We're in here. We're playing sculptor. She's Michelangelina.
This is an interesting episode because these characters, both Mike and Jimmy, get what they've wanted, or they seem like they're about to get the things that they want. And it was interesting. I think when we were planning it out, it caused, I'll speak for myself, a little bit of anxiety, because you're always worried about when your character's actually getting what they want.
Yeah, there's sort of a win. It's positioning them for the larger loss, is giving them the things, but it required some thinking about how that was going to be dramatic and how there would still be struggle in any given scene.
That's so true. And it's, but one of the things that I find is it's so rewarding for a change to have a little bit of a win for both of them. And then, of course, here comes I love the way you guys played this. It's such an indirect.
Yeah.
Can I spend this?
Stace, if this money helps you and Kaylee, if it does a single good thing in this world, then you spend every penny.
It's a relief.
She is.
Yeah, she is.
It'll help a lot.
She spent a lot of time working in this set.
Of course, it's only a drop in the bucket.
There's the-
I love the fact that she's not looking at him when she
Yes.
says that. And then, but you can see that she checks in with him at the very
Yeah.
end. That's beautifully done.
I had one. The computer in the engine, it locked in the middle of the.
Now, Gordon, what is this about? This little run of dialogue about this luxury car
I
talking
don't know
out.
that I can reveal precisely the inspiration for that here, but someone that I know had a similar thing happen with a luxury vehicle and no longer and complains about, does not like that particular make and model.
Right. So was there a chip problem?
I'm not sure if there was a chip or there was some kind of computer issue with the car that locked up, I believe, on the PCH and had a problem.
That's everything comes from somewhere.
Yes.
And of course,
all of there's a lot of pocket dialogue in here that's that kind of thing. There were just scraps that I picked up from around the office and places.
this episode has so much of that.
Yeah.
And so much legalese. And I remember this took us a while to figure out how these guys were not going to bring bring their electronics in. And I think the insight was that Chuck's condition is not common knowledge in certain circles of the legal world in Albuquerque.
Make yourselves comfortable, gentlemen. I'll be right back.
This is the most legal episode that we've done so far.
Oh, no, thanks to my sister, Leah Lesner, attorney at law.
I don't know if I can do this.
You can do this, all right? But these guys.
And look at how these guys have changed their relationship.
They're the Pistons.
Right now, Jimmy's coaching his older brother. He's tying his
shoelaces.
Yeah, that's a beautiful detail, Colin.
And here's another one of those wonders that, Colin, you were doing, which stages out so nicely because you get both of their faces, so you know both of them are in.
Mm-hmm. It really, you do feel for these guys.
Hey, do you remember me, Charles? We were on a co-defense. Church's Donuts v. Amendola. It was 9-10 years ago.
That was something you were involved with, Church's Donuts.
That's the one case. That's the one case site in this episode that's just bullshit. It's just made up.
Oh, really?
Made up, right?
Yeah, it's just whole cloth because it's an actual. I mean, and there's no substance to it.
But all these other ones are
all
real,
the rest of them
right?
are real. That's just this is a fictional case, obviously that they worked on.
I
So.
love how excited Schweikert is to see Chuck again, and he really buy Chuck as a legal celebrity here.
Good to see you.
All right, well, let's get started.
Another one of those great wide shots from you, Colin.
It's the Better Call Saul wide shot.
It is. But then
Signature wide shot.
you're going to go up high too in this scene, and you're also. This may be a little technical, but these characters face in both directions in your coverage.
Yes.
Which is one of the things that keeps this scene so exciting. What are you thinking about as you figure out you've got this seated scene? How are you thinking about what you're gonna shoot?
Well, I mean, a certain amount of it is just purely enough coverage, enough variations in shot sizes, shot angles, for a scene where people are sitting down talking for a long time, to keep the tension of the scene going and not just let it sit there in one or two different angles. And we really kind of, go around the table here.
It's an accounting error.
You do, and the way it's cut, you use that flip in screen direction has a dramatic value, at least to my eye. Yeah.
the wide shot is there is not the same as the wide shot that we had before. It's,
And on top of that,
And of course, we've started using smoke in this set, which is what creates, those wonderful shafts that you're looking at. But it also means that everyone has to work in smoke. Woohoo!
and just the right amount of it so that the audience doesn't ask, is the kitchen on
smoke?
fire?
Yeah, that's right. That's
Exactly.
right. It's not like one of those 80s movies where it always looked like someone had a kitchen fire going on in the other room. And this to me was also a very eye-catching shot with a little bit of a movement to it also.
Yeah.
What it is that matters, it's where it's from.
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Go Cornhuskers.
He always knows all
Love
the
it.
teams.
I know he does. It's so funny.
He really does.
I think that's also a twinge for me because I realized I did it in 6 too. Because I'm like, I don't know sports at all.
One of the things I love about the way Bob handles this is he sees that his brother's not going to pick up he's not going to pick up his end the way he's expecting, and Jimmy goes right past it. And if you know what's going on, you see that little teeny hitch, but it's not something anyone else would ever see. Very subtle and great showmanship.
Kick in. Interstate commerce is a bitch, huh? As soon as we establish a pattern what was your word, overbilling? I prefer the classic term.
He gets the upper hand a few times in this episode, and it's delightful.
I think you know where you can stick it.
Yeah, it's a little like that scene in Breaking Bad when he buys Jesse's house.
That's right.
Which I love that.
Which is a great scene, and he has that same kind of confidence that he has later as Saul, which is really fun.
I always remember that scene. I wrote that one, and that scene was shot on my birthday, and it was a great birthday present to see Bob and those wonderful actors doing that. And it was one of the only times in the other show that we saw Saul without the other characters, without Walt and Jesse.
Walt and Jesse, exactly, yeah.
Or we'll see you in court.
Holy shit, Chuck was listening the whole
Yeah.
time. That's a wonderful reaction.
Didn't you hear them? This is a big company. 12 separate facilities. They can't possibly all...
I love the fact that Chuck is not really... You can't really tell how checked out he was. It's a very ambiguous thing. It's hard to know.
Class cert, that's where we start. I'll draft our complaint, try to get us a conditional one. They'll try to pierce it, but it should hold long enough to start discovery. And we need to get you back on the grounds. Quash this prohibition.
See, this is the danger of commentaries. We start watching the scene.
I know, right? I
We
know.
start watching the
Get
scene.
really sucked in.
But it's wonderful how these two guys, how Michael and Bob pass the baton back and forth in this scene, and I love that little beat there with Bob, just so listening to every word that Chuck says and ready to jump at his command.
Right. Yes, being sent off to do the groundwork.
This is I love this image. There's some
just him just putting the dog in.
there's some wonderful fan art of that moment actually.
There's too many puppy mills out there.
And Joe DeRosa. I love Joe
Oh,
DeRosa.
yeah, I love this
He's terrific.
Poor thing. She said,
Yeah.
Joe DeRosa, yes.
There's a great moment here with the dog too,
those people can go straight to hell as far as I'm concerned.
and the dog looks at him. It's like you couldn't ask for that.
I love his little sly look here.
With your people?
Depends on the type of work you're looking for. Your do's, your don'ts, your wills, your won'ts.
Yeah, what kind of work does this guy actually have?
I'll tell you what I'll do.
Depends on what you're looking for.
I guess so. Well, wow, I really want to see what happens next there. That's so atmospheric.
Tune in next week.
That is.
I signed up 3 more clients at the mall today. Jesus, those mall walkers, those geezers are faster than you think. I could sleep for a decade.
So he's been. I guess the implication, Gordon, is that he's been chasing residents of Sandpiper around.
He's been
signing
getting
them
out
up,
there,
signing them up.
trying to get them signed up so that they can get one of the provisions of a class certification is that you have to have a sufficient number that it makes sense to bundle all the actions together. So they have to be, I don't know, there's like 3 or 4 conditions. They have to be similar enough that the matters of fact can be decided by a single representative case and all that kind of stuff.
You're so smart.
He has to get those. Not even. I can't remember it. I did the research, but I can't remember it. So,
and this is a very tricky moment, Colin.
This is, persuasively, he is so engrossed in this case and what's going on here in this, whatever's in this piece of paper, that he just doesn't realize that he's stepping.
And you worked with Michael quite a bit to get that pacing right, to just get it so that it felt you could believe that that was what was going on with him.
And this was an interesting moment.
Chuck?
Yeah.
And of course, Dave Porter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you're in slow motion here. And how slow is this?
I think this is just for your
yeah,
friends.
I think so.
We didn't much like 120 frames going on the box dropping, but then we never used that. We use this the box dropping in an extreme wide shot.
And that's it.
What an ending for an episode. Yeah, it's a
we
good
don't
one.
know we don't know if that's good or bad for Chuck. We don't know.
Yeah. We don't know what's really. It's what a terrific supporting cast in this one too. It's just really, really nicely done, and such a different. It's kind of setting us up for the end of the season, more or less.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Wow,
Thank you, Gordon.
I couldn't be happier with this one. Wow.